What's up YouTube, I'm Guy, and today we are doing a collection review. The first time that I've done one of these on the channel, and I think it's going to be kind of fun. Now, let me preface this by saying that maybe I don't have the most subscribers of any watch channel on YouTube, but I most certainly have some of the best, and the one that asked me to do this collection review is absolutely no exception. This viewer, who's somebody that I now consider a friend, has sent me a ton of watches over the course of the life of this YouTube channel. He started out right back at the beginning, immediately reached out to me and asked me, hey, would you like to check out this, that, and the other thing? And ever since, he's sent me just tons of watches to borrow for review. And I have to extend to him a humongous thank you for all of the support that he's given me over the course of the last year to year and a half that I've been doing this on YouTube. Thank you very much. Well, we were talking the other day, as we do often, about watches, and he had recently just purchased a Rolex Submariner. Now, he has an extensive collection of watches, and he said, you know, I think I'm going to have to sell something to justify the cost of adding this Submariner to my collection. And I said, well, what are you thinking about selling? He said, you know, I'm not sure. And I said, I have an idea. How about I do a video showing all of your watches, just pictures. He didn't send them all to me, unfortunately, but pictures of all of your watches, and let's do a video about what you should sell. We'll get input from the viewers, you know, stuff like that. So here's what we're doing today. I'm going to go over all of his watches, and he also gave me some notes about these watches. I'll share some of those with you as well. And we're going to help him decide which watch he should remove from his collection to, again, justify the expense of adding a Submariner. Part 2, I also want to give a suggestion as to, in the future, maybe what should he go with next. And I want you guys down in the comments to chime in on that as well. So down in the comments, definitely, tell me of these 8 watches, he has 8 watches in this collection, which one you would get rid of if you were forced to replace or exchange one for the Submariner. And the number 2, going forward in the future, what would you add if this was your collection and you were going to add now another 8th watch? So first things first, I'm just going to show you all of the watches. I'll bring up a picture here and we'll tell you what each of them are. And then individually, I'm going to go over each one briefly with his comments about each of these watches. So starting from, we'll go from the top left. What are each of these watches in this fantastic 8-watch collection? This is a really pretty high-end collection. Any of us would be lucky to have such a fantastic collection. But number 1, we have the Grand Seiko SBGA001 with champagne dial. Number 2, an Omega Seamaster Aquaterra 38.5mm with blue dial. Number 3, we have the Zenith El Primero Original 1969. Number 4, we have the Grand Seiko SBGJ 003 GMT. Number 5, we have a Tudor Black Bay rose dial with burgundy. Number 6, we have the Rolex Submariner 114060 no date. Number 7, we have the Omega Speedmaster Professional Sapphire Sandwich model. And finally, number 8, we have the Breitling Navitimer B01. So I'm going to go over his notes briefly on each of these watches and give you guys sort of what he thinks about them. He sent me some really extensive notes. I'm going to paraphrase a lot of them so that we can get through this a little bit quicker. But this is his impressions, and remember, we're trying to help him decide which watch we should remove from this collection in order to justify that new Submariner purchase. So first up, we're going to look at the Grand Seiko SBGA001 with the champagne dial. Now he tells me that the reason that he got this one was because it has the original Grand Seiko branding on the dial. Grand Seiko last year had started changing over the branding, and in a lot of cases, and I agree with him, he didn't like this new branding. He wanted to get this before it was no longer available. It is, of course, the spring drive movement, which is something that he really likes. He's an engineer, and he finds that level of precision and you know, the engineering that goes into that movement really interesting. He says it's one of the best finished cases, watches, whatever, however you want to look at it, that he's ever handled. He does say that the bracelet isn't so special, but yeah, overall his impressions or his feelings are that he likes to collect models with complications that a manufacturer is known for, so that's why he went with the spring drive. Next one we're going to look at this Omega Seamaster Aquaterra 38.5 with blue dial. He He loves the vertical teak pattern dial, and this is another one where I think he jumped on this because they started changing the dials to be a horizontal pattern, and they moved the date complication, and he wanted to get this old one before it was, no longer available. This was one of the first watches that he said he ever tried on that he was truly blown away by, in particular on the dial and the markers, and he knew that it was going to be something he wanted in his collection, and, he finally got one. Now, he does prefer the proportions of the 41mm, but this 38.5 fits him better and it works better for him. He said he could see replacing this, but it would have to be with something really special. For example, he says something like the Patek Philippe Aquanaut 20th Anniversary Edition. Number 3, we're going to look at the Zenith El Primero Original 1969. He feels that the tricolor dial looks absolutely fantastic. He's in love with that. He said it's a great, or as he put it, actually perfect, chronograph to contrast the stark appearance of his Omega Speedmaster. He says the silver dial with the black minute track, the light gray, dark gray, and blue subdials really makes this watch super versatile for him. He can wear it with anything, gives him a lot of options, and he feels like the 38mm is absolutely the perfect size. Now we're seeing a trend here. He likes these somewhat smaller watches. So the next one we're going to check out here is the Grand Seiko SBGJ003 GMT. He said he loves the dial texture on this one. That with the red GMT hand against the sharp sword handset with that black dial and the Grand Seiko's angular case. He said it's aesthetically perfect. He does, as we'd mentioned previously, like the original Grand Seiko branding before they started doing dial changes, but on this particular example, he said that the new branding does look okay. So if he were to remove this one and he had to replace it again in the future with the one that has the new Grand Seiko branding, that would be not the end of the world to him. Next, we're going to check out the Tudor Black Bay Burgundy with the rose dial. This was his first luxury watch. He had the choice between this rose dial with the ETA movement or the new Tudor dial with the in-house movement, but he decided to go with the rose dial. He liked the aesthetic of that better, even though it didn't have the new in-house movement. Now, he does say that if Tudor came out with a smaller model, with the same dial and bezel combo, he would trade up, but otherwise he loves this piece. The Rolex Sub 114064, no date. This is his most recent edition, and again, he has to replace something from his collection to justify the expense of picking up this Rolex. Now, he's always appreciated the Submariner, and he loves the no date, no Cyclops clean look of this model. He had the opportunity to get it in the past, but he always considered a Milgauss as maybe the better option for his first Rolex. However, given the availability, he came across this one last week and he decided to jump on it. What we're talking about here is how difficult it has been to get stainless steel Rolex models in the past, well, it's almost going on 6 months now, I guess. Now, I think he made the right decision here. I think that the Submariner might be the best first Rolex to get, and while I can appreciate that he likes the Milgauss, I think he would have probably still been yearning for a Submariner. I think that he made the right decision here. But he knew when he picked this up that he was going to have to sell something to justify the purchase. Number 7, the Omega Speedmaster Pro. This is the Sapphire Sandwich model. This was his second luxury watch. He bought it with points through a work reward system. I don't exactly know how that worked, but I assume he got it for a really good price. He probably got it for a steal because of that. Now, he did say that he had a hard choice between picking up this one and the Hesalite version, but being as how, again, he's an engineer, he felt like the display back showing off that, I believe is it an 1861 or an 1863? I forget which movement it is in there, but he really appreciated seeing that La Magna movement with the case back. So that's why he decided to go with the Sapphire Sandwich. He has acknowledged that aesthetically the Hesalite crystal does look a little bit better over the dial, but I understand why he went with this one. Just making it clear to you guys. Now, he wore this watch on his wedding day. It absolutely can't go. It has too much sentimental value. So that's basically off the table. And finally, we're going to check out here up close the Breitling Navitimer B01. He says that this is a watch that he has loved since a child. Now, that's really interesting. I mean, now he's not a really old guy, at least compared to me. I'm kind of an old guy compared to him, I guess. But when I was a kid, I had like no watches on my radar. So that he's loved this watch for so long probably also has a touch of sentimental value to him. Now, he said he almost got the 41mm Heritage model, as he preferred that size over this 43mm, but he went with this one because of the movement, the classic subdial placement on the reverse panda style dial. So here's a case where he went with a slightly bigger watch due to the aesthetics of the rest of the presentation, which is interesting, but he does say he would have preferred that 41mm style. He said he would trade out of it for the same style if it came out in a smaller size, but you know, who knows if or when that'll ever happen. He does say that the bracelet is blingy, but it's easy to change out to leather, and really it's a super versatile watch in that regard. You can put it on all kinds of straps. He does acknowledge that this is obnoxiously flashy, but it's something that he loves about it. Now, his final thoughts about this watch, and I'll paraphrase a little bit, is I'd like to remove something I don't see holding value like the sub, something that doesn't get worn a lot, but doesn't leave too many boxes unchecked in the collection by removing it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick what would we get rid of if this was our 8-piece collection and we had to sell one, you know, for the Submariner. Number 2, after we decide what we would get rid of, let's also give him a suggestion for, in the future, what's the next watch that he can add. Now, in terms of what to get rid of, here's what I would do. And I know he's probably not going to want to do this because we've discussed this a little bit in the past when he was buying Grand Seikos. He's got those 2 Grand Seikos. If I were him, I would remove both of those and trade down or consolidate down to 1 Grand Seiko. I would get the Grand Seiko Snowflake. Whether it's the old dial that has the original Seiko branding on it with the Grand Seiko logo down on the 6 o'clock side, or the new dial is probably irrelevant to me. I think they both look pretty good. A lot of people think that that new dial looks even better because it's a little more, I don't know, streamlined, a little less busy. I could go either way. I like them both. But that's what I would do. I would get rid of both of those and consolidate or trade down, and it's not really a downgrade, to the Snowflake. Now here's why. I know that he likes icons. I know that he wants sort of what a brand is known for. He'd mentioned that he likes collecting watches that feature things like the movement that the brand is known for. And this Grand Seiko Snowflake does have the spring drive movement, so much like his champagne dialed version, it is effectively the same watch. The big difference here is that the Grand Seiko Snowflake's case and I assume bracelet they're titanium, and I don't think he likes titanium, but I think he should get over that. I think that he should get the icon, get the blue chip stock, so to speak, and just get the Snowflake. Now, would he save any money? And ultimately, I guess that's what this is about, is kind of recouping some money if he traded down both of the Grand Seikos that he had to get that Snowflake. I'm not sure if that would achieve his goal there, but it would pare the collection down a little bit and basically get one of those watches out of his collection. Now, assuming that getting the Snowflake is off the table, assuming that he's not willing to get rid of both of those Grand Seikos and consolidate down to the Snowflake, what do I think he should just straight up get rid of? It's probably going to be, and I bet this is what he's already thinking, the Grand Seiko GMT. I get the sense that he doesn't wear that watch as much. I think that's probably the one. If he's just going to straight up remove a watch from his collection, that would probably be the best move. I don't feel like there's anything else in his collection that he's not really into, and I think he probably really likes this watch too, but if I had to guess, I would think that this is the one that he's probably the least connected to. If it were my collection, that's the one that I would probably get rid of. That said, again, I repeat, I would get rid of both of the Grand Seikos and consolidate down to the Grand Seiko Snowflake. You still have that spring drive movement. You're getting the icon Grand Seiko watch. Yes, it's in titanium. That might be a negative for him, but again, I think he needs to get over that. So next, what should he get for his next piece to the collection? He's going to be down to a 7-piece collection after he gets rid of something. When he's ready to add another 8th piece, what should he get? Now again, I think he really likes icons. He had mentioned wanting to get rid of something for the Submariner, something that's not going to hold its value like the Submariner. I think he wants those really key pieces, those, again, I'll use the term blue chip stocks. He wants something that is going to hold value. Whether or not he's actually ever going to sell it, I doubt, but it's still nice to know that you've got money in the bank when you're buying these luxury items. Something, again, that is a marquee for a brand. I would probably say he doesn't have a JLC, and probably the one to go with first if you're going to get your first JLC is the Reverso. So moving forward, when he's ready to add an 8th watch, I suggest the JLC Reverso. If this was my collection, and I could only hope that someday I would have a collection as extensive and fantastic as this one, that for sure a JLC Reverso would be at the very top of the list. So what do you guys think? If you were going to give a suggestion to this viewer on what watch he should get rid of from this 8-piece collection, what would it be? Put those down in the comments. And also, moving forward in the future when he's ready to add a new 8th piece to this collection, what do you suggest he adds? Now I know he wants a Patek, I know he wants a Royal Oak, but those are pretty big money, right? If it were my collection, and I'll never have a collection like this, adding a watch like an Aquanaut or a Royal Oak, that's just, outside of the realm of possibility. Not to mention waitlist and Pateks are apparently outrageous at this point in time. I wouldn't even know. I don't even bother to indulge my fantasies and look into stuff like that. But nevertheless, I think the next piece I would add, if I were him, is the JLC Reverso. Put the comments down below. Let them know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate this viewer and my friend for asking me to put this video together. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed researching all of these watches. He has an absolutely fantastic collection. We should all be so lucky. I'm going to close this out now with final words. If you guys want to help support my channel, I always appreciate it if you do any of the following. First of all, if you want to become a Patreon, that would be fantastic. Link down in the description below this video and all my videos. Number 2, if you guys want to follow me on all of my social media, that helps me out a lot. Finally, if you want to support my channel without actually having to spend a penny of your money, shop on Amazon using my associate or affiliate link, also found in the description down below. If you're going to go on Amazon, it doesn't matter what you buy. It could be something that I reviewed on the channel. It could be dog food, a new pair of shoes, a book, whatever it is. I get a small commission, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Just do your normal shopping like you would, and that helps support this channel. Just click my link first. Thanks for checking out this video. We'll be back later on this week with another watch review. Bye, guys.